What is going on, everybody? Celtics, don't let the music roll again. Why not? It was
Let it run during the win.
They got through it. They got through it. Oh, the Celtics win tonight, 126 to 123 on a Jason Tatum buzzer beater. We're throwing a little curveball in tonight. I'm playing the point guard as the host alongside my boy Justin Lowe. Justin, let's dive right into this. Initial thoughts off of today's game.
Well, Franco, I'll tell you right now, it's it feels like we played a West Coast game, and it's a Saturday night, and I'm begging for the bed, and you're begging to get downstairs to watch a UFC fight. But the Celtics were in a fight with themselves today in the Toronto Raptors. Toronto, obviously, we know their lengthy injury report, but on top of that, a team that's struggling out of the gates here in the regular season. But they gave the Celtics a run for their money, and Boston was able to execute down the stretch. It did take overtime, but again, a win is a win, Franco. And when you get a Jason Tatum follow-away 30-footer, you take the win and you run, and now you look at the Cleveland Cavaliers team in just a couple of days. But overall, not the prettiest win, Franco, but I feel like we know this better than anyone. It doesn't have to be pretty. A win's a win, and if they can find different ways to win. Exactly. It's big, and it's also, we'll get into it, but it's also big to see big overtime minutes from guys like Neemias Queta. Sam Hauser missed a couple of great looks, but the fact that he got them and he didn't shy away from them, him and Pritchard, Hauser and Pritchard got going in that third quarter to help Boston really kind of pull themselves back into the game. They fell behind by about 7 or 8 points there, but overall, crazy game to watch, Franco, but a win's a win, and the Celtics now are 11-3.
Yeah, they rolled out the Al Horford, Neemias Queta duo today with Jrue Holiday being out. They were facing Toronto, who was beat pretty badly. I mean, 4 out of their 5 original starters were on the bench today. They were missing Quickly. They were missing Brown. They were also missing Scotty Barnes and Kelly Olynyk. So this is a beat-down team, and this should have been a game that the Celtics should have taken more advantage of and been able to pull through a little bit more. Obviously, coming off the 2 days of rest and being able to get that practice in, that should have helped out the team a lot more, made them feel a little bit more comfortable. It was a very methodical night from the Celtics. You don't see them applying the same amount of energy that they would on a game-to-game basis from last year. You can kind of see that the Celtics are looking to almost play a more conservative type of game, and it's almost coming up to bite them in the butt for the past few games. And it's the slow starts during the first quarters and playing down to the opponents that people would say it would be.
Yeah, I don't know if it's Boston so much as if they're struggling, so I don't want to overreact at all. But it does seem like especially these past few games that the energy has shifted, and I don't want to use that in a derogatory way, because I know a year or two ago, energy has shifted. Brought us a championship experience and all that. But I don't know. I feel the same way you feel. It's great to be 3-1 during these last 4 games, but at the same time, these past 4 games have kind of felt a little iffy, right? Like that Golden State game, and then obviously you had that 16-2 start against Brooklyn and Milwaukee back to back. You ended up winning both of those games, but you definitely had to throw a huge counterpunch. And then tonight against Toronto, listen, here's the thing. I understand the Celtics are not going to go out and beat every team by 40 points. I understand that. We might have very high expectations, but at the same time, I would hate to. I'm not the biggest fan of people overreacting to certain things. Like the Celtics winning by 5 points to a team like Toronto. Listen, Scalabrine said it multiple times throughout the broadcast tonight. It does not matter who is on the injury report for the Celtics opponent. No matter what, you are going to get the other 29 teams' best shot. You have a target on your forehead. You have the red dot on your forehead. Joe Mazzulla loves it. Jaylen Brown loves it. Al Horford loves it, right? So I think the Celtics, they're going to get everybody's best shot on any given night. I think we're going to see a lot of close games this year, and it's going to be very important to pull off these close games because yes, we might not be seeing a Toronto Raptors in the NBA playoffs, but at the same time, when it gets down to it, tonight had a very playoff like atmosphere. That Golden State game a few days ago, a very playoff like atmosphere. So it's very important that the Celtics get these types of reps. It's very important that the Celtics execute. And Jason Tatum, man, JT, terrible. Here's the thing. I don't understand NBA players sometimes because it's guys like Peyton Pritchard who will hit a 3/4 court shot and then he'll go to the line and miss a free throw. And then it's guys like Jason Tatum who drops the defender, stands there, takes a wide open free throw jumper with plenty of time left, and it doesn't even hit rim. And then and then a broken play, scrambling. Jason Tatum throws up a 30-foot step back and it goes in for the win. So Jason Tatum was crazy tonight, but Frank, I think it all ties back to just finding different ways to win. And I think that's what's really, really important for the Celtics. Their defense, in my opinion, and I know Rob in a couple post game show mentioned that their defense really has to pick up. They're really kind of letting their defense dictate everything, which is not something that you want to see. So I would love for their defense to be picked up. I understand this was an overtime game. But if I can see the Celtics sharpen up on defense, we know their offense is going to be there. As long as Joe Mazzulla is our basketball coach, our offense is going to be intact. So I'd really like the Celtics to sharpen up on the defensive end and really get after it.
Yeah, it's very good news that we received today, especially coming from the practices. Kristaps Porzingis running 1-on-5s with trainers, doing defensive drills. So it's going to be huge when he comes back. But the person who stepped up for him has been Neemias Queta, filling into the starting role. His IQ on the offensive side, his potential has been skyrocketing. You're starting to see him contribute a lot more. And I think once he comes back, he can still be a contributing factor while Kristaps is on the court. And I think running Al Horford off the starting lineup alongside him, bringing back that 4 position, as you will, if for the Celtics, I think is a good move, especially against a matchup like Toronto. I think
Yep.
they've done a phenomenal job of doing that, but the defense on the interior was completely exposed tonight. Jakob Poeltl had 30 some odd points down low, and he was doing a phenomenal job of batting the ball out and creating those second chance opportunities that kept Toronto in the game today.
Yeah, that's something that's killed Boston in this past week is those second chance opportunities. We're not seeing much resistance down low, especially when it comes to the rebounding. And that needs to change. And that's what I'm talking about. You need to tighten some things up. By no means is the Celtics team perfect, but it's also really hard to find flaws in this team. I would say a consistent flaw, at least this past week, as we just mentioned, is allowing those second chance opportunities. That's what gives these specific teams like the Toronto Raptors the energy and the fuel to keep themselves in this game. And sometimes you get against that wrong opponent, and you're going up against a guy like Stephen Curry or Luka Doncic who get hot fast. That's going to be real. That's going to be real problems, and those second chance opportunities are going to be real gut punches. So the Celtics really need to clean that up. But going back to your first point on Neemias Queta, while Kristaps has been out, I mean, Neemias Queta, this is a guy who worked his way up from from a summer league deal to a 2-way contract to now a standardized contract deal, and he's going to be here to stay for the next few years. And absolutely love what I've seen from Neemias Queta dating back to the preseason. Right, I was really excited about Neemias Queta. We saw glimpses of him last year, but the consistency of his minutes and his role now that Porzingis is out, and Al Horford on back to back. So I think Neemias Queta definitely has some things to work on. I think that his ball control needs to be worked on for sure. I feel like he's just very hyper, and sometimes that ball gets away from him. But he's rebounding, just this freak athlete down low. I'm just wicked impressed with how he is. Some plays remind me a little bit of Robert Williams on the offensive end. I don't know if it's just the explosiveness to the rim, but I'm just very, very happy and satisfied with what I've seen from Nemaesh Keita. And I definitely think that I know it's hard. It's really hard, Franco, to run a long rotation later in the season, especially in the playoffs. But Nemaesh Keita definitely making a case to stay in that rotation, even if Kristaps Porzingis comes back.
I think what it comes down to in these types of games is being able to rely on your star players. You just talked about if one of those players get hot. We had two to three of those players tonight with Jason Tatum, Jalen Brown, and Derek White having phenomenal performances. Jason Tatum is our SeatGeek player of the game. We would like to thank SeatGeek for sponsoring our post game shows and us throughout the season. And it was a great performance from him. He was really filling in on that facilitator role, and he was playing an all-around game, and that is where the Jason Tatum MVP conversation really puts him miles ahead of everyone else because of what he's being able to bring to the table, especially being able to finish off the game on a clutch shot like he did tonight.
Yeah, it definitely gives him a shot at that MVP. 2 turnovers on 9 assists tonight. He also had 10 assists the game before in Brooklyn just a few days ago. Those assist numbers to me is what sticks out, and I think we talk about Tatum's assist numbers a lot because we know he's going to get that scoring done. We know he's going to. I mean, at 6'10" almost, you know he's going to get those rebounds. It's about those assists for me. How is he affecting the offense when he's not scoring the basketball? And those 9 assists tell you a lot, right? And it also tells you how deep this team is. I mean, when he's passing to guys like Sam Hauser, Peyton Pritchard, Jalen Brown, Derek White, it makes his game sure of a hell look a lot easier, right? So I just credit Jason Tatum for just playing himself, right? Being himself and playing his brand of basketball. He doesn't get too hyped up. He doesn't trash talk too much. He's just kind of Jason Tatum. He's his own player, and he keeps it level headed. And I think that's been very important. I see a few times he gets caught up in the calls, you know, shaking his head or throwing his arms up in the air. But for the most part, you know, he's not really letting that affect his game. And I mean, this is a freak stretch from Jason Tatum. We've kind of seen this year by year now, specifically these last couple of years where we've seen consistent games like this from Jason Tatum instead of more like spurts. I feel like more or the earlier days of Jason Tatum, we saw, you know, we saw Tatum have a slow start to the season, then he'd heat up around January, February. You're not really getting that anymore from Jason Tatum. You're getting a consistent 82 game slate from Jason Tatum when he plays, and I think that's really important, especially when you talk about that MVP case. Because you know you're gonna have your ups and downs, but
Right.
you know there were moments where Tatum just looked all out of sorts, and then come February he turns into Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, and LeBron James combined. Right? It's just unbelievable. But I love what I see from Jason Tatum right now. I think he's taking the right shots, getting the right looks, and playing the right brand of basketball, and that's winning basketball. His second straight game where he flirted with a triple double, and had we gone into double overtime, he could have killed that. And had he got one more rebound in that Brooklyn game, he would have gotten that as well. So props to Jason Tatum. He's, like Franco said, our SeatGeek player of the game.
He's done such a great job of being able to mold from trying to find his looks within the offense, which we saw last year, which with the new offense, the new players around him. It seemed like sometimes he was trying to find his look. Now it looks like the team is trying to find looks for him. I
Mm.
think he's done a great job of stepping up, and I think the team has really followed behind him this season in the way they've been playing. It's a much more conservative type of game, very laid back. They know what they're capable of, and sometimes you need that energy. And Jalen Brown also is. It's almost yin and yang with Jalen Brown and Jason Tatum in attitude, and we got to see a little bit of that feistiness out of Jalen Brown. He was aggressive, attacking the paint, getting to the free throw line, and we also saw him getting chippy with RJ Barrett at the end of the fourth quarter.
I love it. I love it, man. I mean, it was a playoff-like game, playoff-like atmosphere. The competition is high, the emotions are high, and Jaylen Brown not taking anything from anyone. I love it. It was nothing serious, little positioning action on the inbounds. I feel like we're seeing a lot of that on the inbounds plays and as well as jump balls this year. We're seeing a lot of kind of pushing and shoving on positioning. But Jaylen Brown, again, we talk about his running mate Jason Tatum. We got to talk about JB because JB's been terrific as well. Specifically, these past 3 games, that Atlanta game, 37 points. He was an animal. And then you see him in that Brooklyn game, second night of a back-to-back, drop 26 and 12. And then tonight, obviously, 27, 6, and 7, flirting with that triple-double just as much. Just impressed, man. Just so impressed. And Jaylen Brown, what's really been impressive is how aggressive he's been. And he's getting to the foul line. And he's really making it a point to get to the foul line, drive to the basket, drop his shoulders, drop his head down, get to the free throw line. Doesn't matter you don't need no and one, none of that. Get to the foul line, create your own space, create your own drive. Jaylen Brown has been so content at doing that. And 43 minutes here tonight for him. Super impressed. Battling with that little hamstring injury. Wait, is it a hamstring or a hip flexor?
Hip flexor.
Hip flexor. Hip flex.
Same
He's had
difference.
hamstring before, but that hip flexor's kept him out a little bit before. It's kept him out a few consecutive games this season. So you don't know what you're going to get, but I'm sure that hip's feeling very, very good, especially after these last 3 games for him.
And we've definitely seen a lot more of a better rotation coming from the injuries that Brown and with Holiday out tonight. A lot of players have stepped up, as you said earlier in the show. We've been preaching to the choir for Peyton Pritchard on this show. We might as well call this the Celtics Pritchard post game show. Or I think he's just done a great job. We know that he's continued to have that 6th man of the year stretch. I think if he keeps up any type of this consistency, and we've also seen Jordan Walsh and Sam Hauser starting to fill in behind Brown and Tatum. And I think also having them on the court with them has been really highlighting their individual skills. They're not as versatile of players, and as we the Brown and Tatum would be, but being able to find their roles, being able to get Sam Hauser his open, consistent shots is really going to bring this team to a different level when we start reaching the beef of the season.
Absolutely. The depth of this team is terrific. And the readiness of this group is terrific. You see, look at a guy like Jordan Walsh, 19 years old, drafted out of Arkansas last year. Didn't find much minutes in the rotation, signed a 4-year deal, had to play down in Maine. Maine go to the G League finals, Celtics go to the NBA finals. About as good as a rookie year, accolade wise, as you can get, other than winning rookie of the year. So didn't get much opportunity in the big leagues last year. Comes into training camp this year knowing that he has an opportunity, especially O'Shea Brissett, Shvi Mikhailuk not coming back. Those are 2 wings ahead of him. And he took advantage of that in the preseason and training camp. It looked terrific. That shot looked terrific. And he's every opportunity that he's got so far, he's really looked solid. I get his shot still needs some work. Here's the thing, man. Like, he went in the game. It was a road game. It was a few games ago, and missed a couple of shots. And people on Instagram are like, this guy fails on every opportunity. It's like, just because you miss a couple shots doesn't mean you fail the opportunity. Like Jordan Walsh has a 7-foot wingspan. He's out there grabbing 2 or 3 rebounds in that span. He had dished out 2 rebounds and assists tonight, as well as a made 3-pointer in just 7 minutes. Like he's just doing so many different things at once. So I really like how he slotted in. We talked about the debate, is he different from O'Shea Brissett? Is he better? Is he worse? He definitely has that youth on his side, and he's going to get opportunity as the season goes on. Then you talk about guys like Peyton Pritchard and Sam Hauser, 2 guys brought up within the Celtics system. I mean, those guys are truly like the Splash Brothers off the Celtics bench. The consistency of them is incredible. Also, I feel like even when they're not on, they're contributing in so many different ways. Peyton Pritchard as an undersized guard with his rebounding as well as his pressure on defense. Sam Hauser, I think he's been doing a terrific job at putting the ball on the floor. We're seeing Sam Hauser put the ball on the floor. We saw an and one tonight from Sam Hauser. I love
throughout
that.
this year.
The growth of these two players specifically has been such a treat to watch. And they're both just gym rats. They're both in the gym 24/7, and that's important. They know what it takes to win. They know that their opportunities are limited, but when they do get the opportunity, they have sure as hell shined so far, Franco.
It definitely a credit to Brad Stevens and the coaching staff's the development
Yeah.
program of these players. You look at these guys that when they came in, they were more just role players, and you knew what you were going to be getting out of them. But you've just seen them add more and more to their bag as time goes on, and I think that it's going to carry them a long way. Especially, there's a few more players that are going to start to get acclimated. I think Xavier Tillman is one player that was a DNP tonight. I think he struggled for the first half of the season, but when it's the team is struggling with the offensive rebounds and rebounding in general. How do you think that Tillman and Horford are going to play into that?
Right. I mean, I you look at Horford and Tillman. I haven't been too impressed about what I've seen so far from Xavier Tillman and the opportunity that he has got. They stick him right at the perimeter, which is fine, right? I mean, he's an undersized big, but in the Celtics game is the 3-point shot, so it helps spread the floor, especially when you have Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown on the floor. I get that. But he has amazing physicality as well. He can really get down low. He plays that undersized center exceptionally well. Um, but I haven't been too impressed with Xavier Tillman so far, and I don't want to talk bad on his name because I really do like Xavier Tillman. He had a great preseason, but so far in his opportunity. But again, opportunities come, matchups come along, better matchups come along. For a guy like Xavier Tillman, that the Celtics are really going to have to lean on him. So his opportunity will for sure come just as much as Amias Queta and Luke Cornett's uh, opportunity. That's the
Opportunity.
word I'm looking for. Opportunity has come.
But
I want to mention though, real quick, because you mentioned the
mhm,
development of the Celtics franchise and their player development. I want to mention to you, Amias Queta, two-way guy. Sam Hauser, two-way guy. Luke Cornett, two-way guy. Jordan Walsh played in Maine nearly all last season last year. So like these are four guys can that spent a majority of the time in the G League for this franchise come up, and now they're playing regular rotational minutes, affecting games in big ways. Myers Queta tonight, 12, 8, and 2. Sam Hauser tonight, 14 points. Luke Cornett, 4 and 6 and 3 in one block in just 17 minutes. Jordan Walsh, 3, 2, and 1. Like just these little things off the bench are just so big. So you already have the depth of that starting five of Tatum, Brown, Porzingis, Holiday, and White, right? And then you go down, look at the bench under Pritchard, and then you see these guys who look like G League players and they're playing like they're starters on any other team. So it's just really terrific that the development team has really come such a far way and turned these two-way contract players into legitimate players in positions on an NBA championship contending team. Really tells you a lot about this franchise.
yeah, that's what we mean by longevity. This is going to be a Celtics team that even as contracts expire, they know what's coming up with the salary cap rules. They need to sell the team for in 2028 just to keep up with the funds. And
Right.
I think that is going to come into play. There's still a lot of development happening with JD Davis, and
Yeah.
they have the rookie Baylor Shireman that I know you're a huge fan of. I think he's going to develop into something down there if he keeps on getting his opportunities. I
Yeah.
think they're going to be looking good for a while. And a team that's been looking good is right on the horizon, the Cleveland Cavaliers.
Terrific. I mean, here's the thing. Maybe not 14-0 good, But the Cavs have been this good for a while. The problem is these guys can't stay healthy for anything, and right now they're pretty damn healthy, and that's the biggest thing. Two, I get it. On the podcast a few months ago, Cleveland Cavaliers were one of my biggest losers in the offseason. Honestly, I wasn't impressed with their offseason. They didn't do too much, but the problem was they weren't healthy, right? Like during the playoffs, they weren't healthy, and they haven't been healthy in the playoffs for a few years now when they have gotten the opportunity to compete in the playoffs. So finally, offseason comes around. They were banking on these guys all coming back, being healthy. Let's run it back. We made it to the second round, game five. We forced a game five to the champs. Let's run it back, not on injury. And they come back here and they're 14-0. Kenny Atkinson, such a exquisite. I'm going to use that word. That's a big word. An exquisite hiring. That's an insane pull, as the kids say, for a coaching job in the offseason. I was not happy when Kenny got stripped of that job in Brooklyn just before that whole Durant, Kyrie, Steve Nash fiasco, and then I believe he was out in the Bay for a few years
Yep.
assisting Steve Kerr. So I was super happy for him that he found himself back in a head coaching position. And boy, he is off to a great start for Coach of the Year running.
Yeah. Who would have thought we were going to be circling in a game in November on November 19th against the Cavaliers when the
Mm,
season started? But I
mm.
think this is the statement game. If there was to be a statement made this season, this is the game to make it. I think that the Cavaliers are a team that are going to not to say that they're going to fizzle out, but I think they're going to come down to earth. And if the Celtics are the team to be able to do that, that reinstates their role on the top of the mountain as leading up to the playoffs. And especially during this NBA Cup, I think we're going to be seeing that. And one thing we forgot to talk about is these new jerseys that we got to see debut
Oh,
tonight. Wh- I'm I'm
mm,
in and out on them. I just think it's too much of a 2K generic uh,
yeah.
download if you make your own team in my league.
I'm
Uh,
I'm pretty in and out on them as well, Franco. But I I have to say, I am growing my feelings in a positive way towards these uniforms. Here's the thing, man. When these leaks come out in, July, August, September, I don't care. I don't like the leaks too much. One, because even if they're accurate, usually the photos that are taken of them, the filters off. I remember one year the green and gold jersey looked like it was blue and gold or whatever it was, and it just didn't look good. And I like it. I like it. They released some photos and videos of the jerseys on the players on the court. Loved them. It was weird though because they were advertising they were advertising these jerseys kind of like there was a court to go along with it. And even though I knew there wasn't a court to go along with it, these just felt like an in-season tournament jersey. Like
right.
it just felt like they would wear it during that. But I mean, I not the biggest fan of them. I don't rank them high on my Celtics uniform all time list, but I will say they're growing on me, and they're not as bad as I might have said they were. But again, it's hard. It's hard to be critical on Celtics jerseys just because there's only so much you can do with like the traditional green, white, and black in dabbling gold. I thought this would have been the perfect opportunity to dabble in that gold coming off a championship season. Um, all these teams bringing up classic uniforms, the classic edition uniforms, where Toronto's brought back their purple and black uniforms this year. I don't know why the Celtics didn't bring back their green and gold jersey like you have in that background there, or the green and black jersey from the Paul Pierce days is their classic jersey. I didn't really like their classic jersey a few years ago, but it was all right, Franco. It was all right. I think they popped. They definitely popped. They're definitely different.
Definitely. And I think they'll definitely, if they are wearing them on Tuesday against the Cavs, they'll be tipping off around 7 o'clock. I think they'll be wearing those again, and I think it will be a cool concept on the new court as well.
Mm,
And we'll be right here for your coverage of that game. Come
yeah,
on
big
back
game.
to us. Big game. We'll be all for it. Come on back. We'll talk to you again. And finally, go Celtics.
Let's go.
Sorry, everybody. I'm new to this.